Hi there, students. Wow, can you believe it is week 7? And on that note, I wanted to chime in and have a conversation about what we're discussing having to do with this intercultural communications and all the elements that are involved. We are going to take a look at the high and low context within our types of communication. We need to understand that different countries, different places in the world have a various way of speaking that might be a little different than who we are and how we tend to describe things and communicate with each other. Oftentimes in communication, we do find that these have to do with the way of communication with respect to a low or a high context. So I wanted to just quickly go over that. For example, within this communication style that tends to be high context, really deals with individuals that might communicate indirectly, more structured and understated. In this type of conversation, people tend to speak with one another in a linear fashion. And oftentimes, we see areas that might be a little standoffish, and maybe disagreements are derived from this style of high context. Oftentimes it has to do with the way we are communicating or miscommunicating with others. So it's important to understand how to solve conflicts and resolution immediately in order to avoid different types of negative communication. For example, some people don't like being in other individual space, making sure our personal space is considered within these types of ways that we communicate with each other. Verbal messages are direct when we specifically use low context. However, in the high context style of communication, the verbal message is typically indirect, where the speaker is often talking around a point instead of directly at a point. So we might see this in different styles of communication around the world. Another area is we have to take a look at the low context, where in this area we tend to see that the communication tends to be a little bit more linear and more dramatic and precise and open, because these words are highly valued and we really want to communicate them correctly and be consistent with the ways that we communicate. So therefore, we want to also look at, within the low context, disagreements are depersonalized and conflicts might resolve immediately after these type of ways that we communicate with each other arise. So we need to find solutions to this, and they tend to be a little bit more rationally based. Here we also look at verbal messages are implicit in the high level. However, in this low level of the way we communicate, we find that it is explicit and direct. Words are valued over their context. So we want to make sure that we understand that. We understand that another area, not only physical space and privacy is highly valued. So we see this a lot in the Western culture and the United States or American style of culture. Speed is something that we take into consideration, getting to the point. So we need to make sure that we are being efficient in understanding the ways of which we're communicating with one another. And it's important that this is done properly and understood. So in some countries considered in this low context include United States and Germany and various Scandinavian countries. We're also considered this individualistic type of environment. So there you have it. Here's the tip of the week for high and low context. I hope you enjoyed it. Nice communicating with you. Take care.